The Black Sheep by Duane Penmanship. Chapter 1. The Black Sheep of the Family. Leon Martin was always moving. From the moment he could crawl, he was testing limits, pushing boundaries, chasing the thrill of life, with a heart bigger than his caution. To anyone else, it might have seemed reckless, even irritating. But to Leon, it was just being alive. In his family, Leon was known as the Black Sheep. His cousins and siblings had long since stopped expecting anything good to come from spending time with him. They had learned that when Leon was around, trouble was inevitable. A toppled vase, a bent bicycle, a mysteriously disappearing dessert. Leon's mischief always left a trail. "Here comes trouble," his cousin Jason muttered one summer afternoon as Leon sprinted across the backyard, a makeshift slingshot in hand. "Don't even bother," his older sister Monique said, rolling her eyes. "You're going to get caught again, just like last time." Leon grinned, undeterred. His energy was contagious, and part of him hoped they might just enjoy the chaos. But most of the time, they didn't. The source of Leon's trouble wasn't malice, it was excitement. He wanted to experience everything, to push boundaries and see what happened on the other side. Climbing the tallest tree, racing his friends down the street, diving into the creek with barely a thought. These were the moments he lived for. But the consequences always followed. One afternoon, Leon and his cousin Jason were racing their bikes down a steep hill. Leon's bike skidded on loose gravel, and he crashed into a neighbor's mailbox, bending it almost in half. Jason winced as the elderly neighbor came out, shaking his fist. "Leon," Jason hissed, "you're going to get us in trouble again." Leon dusted himself off, trying to look innocent. It's okay. I've got this." But inside, he felt a flicker of guilt. The mailbox had been old, yes, but the look on the neighbor's face reminded him he wasn't untouchable. That evening, Aunt Kathy noticed the frustration on Leon's mother's face as she recounted the day's chaos. "Leon," she said, kneeling down to his level, "I know you don't mean to cause trouble. You're a good kid, but you have all this energy and heart, and if you don't learn how to guide it, it's going to hurt you more than anyone else." Leon shifted uncomfortably, not used to being lectured, but Aunt Kathy had a way of speaking that made him listen. "You're not like everyone else," she continued. "You have fire, Leon, and fire can warm you or burn everything down. Men don't react off emotion. They respond in kind. You've got to learn how to respond, not react." Leon looked at her, unsure what to say. He wanted to nod, to promise he would, but the truth was, he wasn't ready. The thrill of action always pulled him forward before thought could catch up. Still, he wanted to make her proud. School was a battlefield for Leon. Sports were supposed to be the place where he could channel his energy, but his temper and impulsiveness often got the better of him. Middle school basketball ended with referees calling him for flagrant fouls. High school football championships ended with him on the sidelines, frustrated, watching victory slip through his fingers because of a single careless act. Even at home, Leon felt the tension. His siblings expected the worst. His cousins whispered warnings whenever he approached. They didn't know how to handle him, and sometimes neither did he. But it wasn't all bad. Leon had a few friends who understood him, who laughed along with his antics rather than judging them. He learned quickly which adults would scold him and which would guide him. Aunt Kathy was always the latter. She offered advice, but never nagged. She pushed him to think, to feel, to grow. One summer evening, after another minor escapade with his friends, Leon sat on the front steps of his house, catching his breath. Aunt Kathy came out with 2 glasses of lemonade. "Thought you could use this," she said softly, handing him one. Leon accepted it, his hands sticky from climbing trees and scraping knees. "Thanks," he muttered. "Leon," she said, sitting beside him, "I know everyone expects you to mess up, but I don't. You're smart. You've got heart. You just have to learn how to keep it from spilling over at the wrong time." Leon stared at the horizon, thinking about what she said. Could he really control himself? Could he really turn that energy into something that wouldn't get him into trouble every time? He wanted to believe he could. He wanted to prove everyone wrong. Not just his cousins or his siblings, but himself. Little did he know, the lessons were just beginning. Life would throw challenges his way. Games lost, friendships tested, heartbreaks endured. And one day, all that restless energy, all that passion, would need to find a new outlet, one that would either make him or break him. For now, though, Leon Martin was still the black sheep. And for him, that was just fine. Chapter 2, Lessons in Losing. Leon Martin never played a game to lose. Whether it was basketball in middle school or football in high school, he threw himself into every moment with everything he had. But the problem wasn't effort, it was control. Passion without discipline had a way of turning victories into defeat. It started in middle school. The basketball game had been intense all afternoon. Leon's team was neck and neck with their rivals, and the gymnasium was packed with cheering students, parents, and teachers. Sweat dripped down Leon's forehead as he darted across the court, heart pounding. The ball came to him. He dribbled past one defender, then another. Adrenaline surged through him. He saw the basket, raised the ball for a shot, and the whistle blew. Flagrant foul. Leon froze, staring at the referee, disbelief etched across his face. The other team's coach barked a thanks from the sidelines. The crowd's cheers turned into murmurs of disappointment. What? That was nothing. Leon yelled, but the whistle blew again. His teammate tried to calm him, putting a hand on his shoulder. It's okay, man. Forget it, his friend whispered. But Leon couldn't. His mind raced with what-ifs, and how could they? By the time the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read the unthinkable. They had lost. And it was because of him. Walking off the court, Leon felt the weight of every disappointed face. His teammates didn't shout at him, but he could see the frustration in their eyes. The loss wasn't just on the scoreboard, it was personal. By the time high school rolled around, Leon thought he had learned something. He was bigger, faster, stronger. Football was supposed to be different. He had control, or so he thought. The varsity championship game was a night he would never forget. The stands were alive with fans, the smell of popcorn and fresh-cut grass filling the air. The scoreboard showed Leon's team in the lead. Only minutes remained in the fourth quarter. Victory was within their grasp. Then it happened. A bad call. A perceived slight. Leon's blood boiled. He saw red and reacted. Unsportsmanlike conduct. A penalty. 15 yards. A first down for the other team. The whistle blew again. Leon's hand shook. The crowd groaned. His coach's face was a storm of fury. The rival team kicked a field goal, edging out the win by a single point. Leon fell to the grass, chest heaving. The championship gone. All because he couldn't keep his temper in check. The locker room was silent except for the low hum of disappointment. Leon's teammates avoided his eyes. Some muttered under their breath. He could feel their judgment as keenly as the sting of the cold sweat on his skin. Later that evening, in the quiet of his bedroom, Leon stared at the ceiling. His mind replayed every second of the game, every decision, every reaction. He felt guilt, frustration, and the sting of regret. He didn't want to be that kid, the one who ruined everything. But every time he tried to hold back, it seemed like the fire inside him refused to be contained. Aunt Kathy's voice echoed in his mind. Men don't react off emotion. They respond in kind. Leon clenched his fists. He wanted to respond in kind, but the problem was he didn't know how. And the more he thought about it, the heavier the realization became. His heart was in the right place, but his head wasn't. That night, he sat alone on the porch, watching the stars, trying to make sense of it. Losing wasn't new to him, but losing because of himself? That hurt more than anything else. He knew Aunt Kathy was right. He had to learn control. Not for the team, not for his family, but for himself. And yet, deep down, he also felt a spark of determination. He wouldn't always be this kid. He had too much heart, too much energy to let it go to waste. One day, he thought, one day I'll figure out how to use this fire without burning everything around me. But for now, Leon Martin, the black sheep, had learned his first real lesson. Passion without control could cost everything you cared about. Chapter 3. Heartbreak and Rivalry. High school was supposed to be exciting. For Leon, it was a battlefield, not just on the field, but in the heart. And no one tugged at it harder than Lisa. Lisa had been Leon's first crush, his first real love. She was smart, funny, and always seemed to understand him in ways nobody else could. They had spent afternoons riding bikes, sneaking snacks from the corner store, and laughing over dumb jokes that only made sense to them. She saw past the reckless energy, past the impulsiveness, and somehow found his heart. But high school and Leon's temper changed everything. It started with small fights. A missed text, a misunderstanding, a sarcastic remark said in the heat of the moment. Leon's fiery nature made it hard to apologize properly. And one night, after yet another argument following a football practice, Lisa finally said what he had dreaded. "You need to control yourself, Leon," she said quietly, but with a weight he couldn't ignore. "I like you, I care about you, but I can't be with someone who loses control all the time. It's exhausting." Leon froze, chest tightening. He wanted to shout, to argue, to insist she didn't understand him, but he didn't, because deep down he knew she was right, and that sting cut deeper than any loss on the field. A week later, she started dating Mike. Mike, the star quarterback, the guy who had never lost control, at least not like Leon did. Confident, composed, admired by teammates, adored by fans. And now, dating Lisa. Leon tried to ignore it at first, focusing on school and football. But every glance at the hallway, every whispered conversation at lunch, reminded him of what he had lost. The jealousy boiled under the surface, a quiet storm waiting for an outlet. It came sooner than expected. One Friday after practice, Leon saw Mike and Lisa talking by the bleachers. Something in their laughter made his chest tighten, his vision narrow. He couldn't help it. Words came first, then shoves, then punches. "Back off, Mike," Leon yelled, shoving him. "Or what?" Mike sneered, hands raised but ready. "Or I'll make you regret it." Leon shot back. Before anyone could intervene, a scuffle erupted. Coaches and teammates ran over, pulling the two apart. By the end of it, both Leon and Mike were sent to the principal's office. Suspension. 1 week. The varsity coaches were furious. The fight wasn't just a school problem. It threatened team unity and morale. Sitting in the office, Coach Harris looked at Leon with that mixture of disappointment and hope that only good mentors can give. "Leon," he said, voice calm but firm, "I've seen talent in you. You've got speed, strength, and heart. But right now, your heart is controlling your head. You need to understand something. If you don't learn discipline, you're going to ruin yourself before you even get a chance to succeed. Do you hear me?" Leon nodded, but the words bounced around in his mind all week. It wasn't just about football. It was about his life. Everything. That night, in his bedroom, Leon tossed and turned. The argument, the fight, the hurt of losing Lisa, the coach's words, they replayed over and over. He felt like he was on fire, but not in a good way. This wasn't the thrill of a game or a chase. It was frustration, self-doubt, and the realization that his impulsive nature was a problem bigger than he had admitted. He thought about Lisa, about Mike, about football, about Aunt Kathy's words echoing in his memory. Men don't react off emotion. They respond in kind. He clenched his fists, staring at the ceiling. He didn't have the answers yet, but for the first time, he felt the stirring of determination. He wanted to change, not for anyone else, but for himself. He wanted to be someone who could handle life's heat without exploding. By the time the week was over, Leon returned to school with a heavy heart but a slightly clearer mind. Mike and Lisa walked past him in the hallway. In past times, his blood would have boiled, fists clenched, ready to argue or storm off. But this time, he did something different. "Hey," he said softly. "You two look good together." Lisa blinked, a small smile forming. Mike raised an eyebrow. Leon didn't linger. He turned and walked down the hall, feeling a strange mixture of relief and pride. He had resisted the urge to fight, to yell, to act on emotion. And in that small moment, he realized something. He had a choice. He could let anger control him, or he could control himself. Chapter 4. Reflection and Resolution. Graduation day arrived like a storm of anticipation and nerves. Caps and gowns filled the auditorium with a sea of black robes, while parents and friends clutched programs and cameras, eager to capture every smile. Leon Martin sat among the seniors, fidgeting with the edge of his gown, heart pounding, not from excitement, but from the strange emptiness he felt. He had survived high school. Physically, mentally, socially. He had made it. Yet, for all the victories and defeats, the heartbreaks and fights, he felt as if the world outside these walls remained untouched by his presence. Lisa sat nearby, radiant in her dress, laughing with Mike, the varsity quarterback whose calm confidence seemed to mock Leon's own chaotic energy. For a moment, Leon felt the old sting of jealousy, the same fire that had caused the fight that led to his suspension. But he caught himself. A deep breath. Leon looked past them to the faces of his classmates, his teammates, his family. They had all expected something from him, sometimes good, often bad. And maybe, just maybe, they were about to see something different. The ceremony passed in a blur. Speeches about the future, caps tossed in the air, applause echoing off the walls. Leon clapped along, but his mind drifted to the conversation with Coach Harris that week, the words that had haunted him through sleepless nights. Your heart is strong, Leon, but strength without control can destroy everything you care about. The words lingered like smoke in his mind, and for the first time, he felt something shift inside him. After graduation, the usual celebrations began. Friends crowded around for photos. Parents took selfies. Lisa and Mike wandered off to a small gathering of their own. Most of Leon's peers were caught up in the excitement of the night, but he felt detached. It wasn't bitterness or jealousy this time. It was clarity. Leon found a quiet corner outside, leaning against the railing as he watched couples and friends dance under the string lights of the backyard party. He thought about all the fights, all the losses, all the mistakes. Every time he had let anger or impulse guide him, he had paid the price. But now, for the first time, he realized he had a choice. He could keep letting life happen to him, or he could take control. He thought about Lisa. She was happy. Mike was happy. And strangely, he felt a sense of pride for them. Not the pride of possession or control, but the pride of someone who could let go. Hey, a familiar voice said. It was one of his old teammates, holding a plate of snacks. You okay, man? Leon nodded. Yeah, I'm good. He smiled a genuine, calm smile. You know, you guys did great. Really. The teammate blinked, surprised at Leon's tone. Gone was the fiery competitiveness, replaced by a quiet composure. Leon realized, in that moment, that the power of his temper had been replaced, not by weakness, but by control. That night, he returned home. The house was quiet. He stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, the fluorescent light casting sharp shadows across his face. For the first time in his life, he really looked at himself, not just at the person everyone called the black sheep, but at Leon Martin, the young man who had survived every test life had thrown at him so far. He made a vow, right then and there, a promise to himself. I'm done letting my heart run wild without direction. I'm done letting anger or impulse decide my path. I will take control. I will shape my future. And I will make my own success. It wasn't a decision about money or fame or even Lisa. It was about self-respect. It was about finally becoming the man Aunt Kathy had seen in him all along. The next morning, Leon awoke with a clarity he had never felt before. The dreams of last night had left him restless, but instead of fear, he felt energy, purpose. He packed a small bag, kissed his mother goodbye, and drove to the community college he had enrolled in. He didn't know what he wanted to major in, and that uncertainty could have paralyzed him. But Leon refused to let fear dictate his life. He signed up for a computer science course and a few electives, deciding to explore new interests, meet new people, and open himself up to possibilities. As he walked through the campus, he noticed the bustle of students around him, clubs, flyers, campus events. Opportunities were everywhere, waiting for someone brave enough to take them. Leon felt a spark he hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time, he wasn't running from himself or from life. He was stepping into it. And in that moment, Leon Martin, the black sheep of his family, the impulsive, passionate kid who had stumbled so many times, felt ready to take the first true step toward becoming the man he wanted to be. Chapter 5: College and New Horizons. Leon walked onto the community college campus with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. The air smelled of freshly cut grass, and the sound of students laughing, shouting, and rushing between classes filled his ears. He clutched his backpack straps tightly, as if holding onto his courage was just as important as holding his books. He didn't know exactly what he wanted to study. Computer science had sounded interesting. Something about coding and problem-solving appealed to him. But beyond that, his future was a blank canvas. For once, Leon didn't feel the pressure to perform or to impress. He felt only curiosity. His first week was a whirlwind of orientation, meeting professors, and navigating crowded hallways. Everywhere he looked, there were students diving into new clubs, posting flyers for campus events, and discussing their majors with passionate enthusiasm. Leon felt both exhilarated and intimidated. He realized quickly that college wasn't just about classes. It was about opportunities, connections, and experiences he had never had the chance to explore before. Leon joined a few clubs on a whim: the entrepreneurship group, the tech club, and a community service organization. He didn't know exactly why he picked them. Maybe it was instinct, maybe curiosity, but he wanted to test himself, to see what would stick. It was in one of these clubs that Leon met people who would change the way he thought about his future. There was Marcus, a business student with sharp ideas and a knack for seeing opportunities where others saw obstacles. Then Samantha, a marketing major with relentless energy and an ability to make everyone around her feel inspired. And Tyrone, a quiet but brilliant coder who could make complex algorithms seem simple. These friends weren't just classmates, they were mentors and motivators, sparking ideas that Leon had never considered. Conversations about startups, credit, LLCs, and business strategy filled late-night study sessions and coffee breaks. Leon found himself scribbling notes on napkins, on the backs of worksheets, and even in the margins of his textbooks. "I want to start something," Leon admitted one night, sitting with Marcus and Samantha in the campus cafe. "Something that's mine, but I don't know where to start." Marcus leaned back, smiling. "You start small. Learn about credit, open an LLC, figure out how to manage finances. The rest will follow. You've got the drive. You just need the plan." Samantha nodded. "And don't forget networking. The people you meet now can help you in ways you can't imagine." Leon listened, absorbing every word. For the first time, he felt a spark of confidence. Maybe he wasn't just the black sheep after all. Maybe he could use his energy and passion for something real, something that would define him on his own terms. Outside of classes, Leon needed a way to support himself. He found a graveyard shift at the local grocery store, stocking shelves late at night. It was hard work, tiring and lonely, but it had its lessons. Leon learned discipline, time management, and how to push through boredom and fatigue. More importantly, he learned the value of money and how to stretch every dollar. The first paycheck arrived, crisp and satisfying. Leon held it in his hands, feeling a sense of possibility. That night, he opened a savings account and deposited half of it. The other half went toward starting his LLC, an official step into the world of entrepreneurship. He filled out forms, applied for his Dun and Bradstreet number, and researched everything he could about building a business from the ground up. Every night after work, after classes, Leon spent hours in the small corner of his bedroom dedicated to research and planning. Charts, spreadsheets, and notes covered the desk. He envisioned a future filled with business opportunities, creative projects, and independence. But it wasn't all easy. Frustration came often. Progress was slow. Some days, it felt like he was running in place. His co-workers would invite him out, trying to help him unwind, but Leon usually declined. He had no time for distractions, not yet. Aunt Kathy, as always, noticed a change. When Leon visited home for a family dinner, she hugged him tightly. "Look at you," she said, beaming. "Something's different. You walk taller, speak clearer. You're starting to look like you know where you're going." Leon smiled. "I'm trying, Aunt Kathy. I'm really trying this time." She nodded, her eyes soft but proud. "Good. Keep at it. Remember, the journey is as important as the destination." By the end of the first semester, Leon had grown in ways he hadn't imagined. He had friends, mentors, a job, and a budding business. More importantly, he had a new understanding of himself. The black sheep wasn't just causing chaos anymore. He was learning to channel his energy, to focus it, to make it work for him. Chapter 6: Family, Frustration, and the Tipping Point. It had been months since graduation, and Leon's life was moving in ways he hadn't fully anticipated. College classes, the graveyard shift at the grocery store, and the meticulous planning for his LLC consumed his days and nights. Yet, despite the progress, something gnawed at him. He felt like he was running a marathon with no finish line. Money was tight. His business had yet to make a cent, and every small victory seemed overshadowed by the effort it took to get there. Each day, Leon poured energy into research, networking, and planning, but the results weren't immediate. One Friday afternoon, his mother called. "Leon, the family reunion is this weekend. You have to come." "I'm not taking no for an answer." Leon groaned internally. Family gatherings had never been his favorite. Too many eyes watching, too many expectations, too many judgments. And yet, Aunt Kathy was there, and that was reason enough to go. When he arrived, the reunion was in full swing. Tables laden with food stretched across the lawn. Cousins ran around playing football, laughter echoing in the summer air. Leon moved through the crowd with a calm, laid-back energy. He greeted his family politely, answering questions without defensiveness, and for the first time, he felt no need to prove himself. Most of his cousins and siblings were curious, but skeptical. "Leon, you're still working that grocery store job?" one of his cousins asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. "Yes," Leon replied casually, "and I'm learning more there than you'd think. Plus, it's temporary. I'm working on bigger things too." The surprise on their faces was satisfying, though he kept it subtle. No grand declarations, no braggadocio, just quiet confidence. It was Aunt Kathy who noticed the most. She pulled Leon aside as he helped set up chairs for the younger cousins. "You're different," she said softly, her eyes scanning him like she always did. "I see it in your walk, your voice, the way you hold yourself. You've got pep in your step, but it's controlled now. I like it." Leon smiled. "Thanks, Aunt Kathy. I'm trying to be better, to be smarter with my energy." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You've got a long way to go, but you're on the right path. Don't lose focus." Despite the reunion's positivity, Leon felt a growing frustration. At night, after returning home, he stared at his laptop, reviewing his business plans, checking his accounts. No growth, no revenue, just spreadsheets and ideas. He questioned himself relentlessly. Am I cut out for this? He wondered. Maybe I wasted money, time, and energy on nothing. Maybe I'm not capable of running a successful business. His co-workers had been inviting him out for weeks, trying to coax him into social outings, but Leon had been saying no. He needed focus, not distractions. Yet that evening, as he tossed and turned after another sleepless night, the phone buzzed again. "Come on, Leon. Just one night out," texted one of his co-workers. "You need a break." After staring at the message for a long time, Leon did something unusual. He typed back, "All right." One night, he needed the break more than he realized. Later that night, Leon met his co-workers at a local casino. He wasn't much of a gambler, but he figured a small adventure wouldn't hurt. The lights, the sounds of coins clinking, and the laughter of strangers gave him a strange sense of calm. He ordered a beer and a Cadillac margarita, savoring the moment. Stepping out onto the deck for a breath of fresh air, he was met by a stranger, a woman with a warm smile and an approachable energy. "Hi, I'm Cherry," she said, extending her hand. "Leon," he replied, shaking her hand. They talked for a few minutes, enjoying the night air and each other's company. But when Leon returned inside to check on his co-workers, a particular slot machine caught his eye. There was no reason. Something about it drew him in. He dug $1 from his pocket and inserted it into the machine. The lever clicked, the reel spun, and coins poured out like a waterfall. $100,000. Leon didn't scream. He didn't celebrate. He stared, stunned, at the unexpected fortune. He knew this was his jackpot, his opportunity, but also his responsibility. No one around him knew. He didn't tell his co-workers. He didn't buy anything extravagant. All he wanted was to invest in himself and build the future he had been planning for months. That night, as he returned home, Leon realized something profound. Luck had favored him, but only because he had prepared himself to take advantage of it. Hard work, persistence, and patience had created the foundation. The jackpot wasn't just a win, it was a confirmation. He could succeed if he stayed disciplined and focused. Leon went to bed with a sense of calm determination. Tomorrow, the grind would continue, but with new fuel, both confidence and financial leverage. The black sheep had found a spark, and nothing would stop him from turning it into a flame. Chapter 7. Building the Dream. The morning after his life-changing win at the casino, Leon awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. He had always been ambitious, but now the possibility of making his dreams real seemed tangible. The $100,000 wasn't just money. It was freedom, opportunity, and validation that his perseverance could pay off. He spent the early hours of the day researching lists of potential business ventures, types of media platforms, and studio requirements filled his notebook. He knew he didn't want something small. He wanted space, flexibility, and creativity. Somewhere he could host a podcast, record a talk show, run a radio station, and even launch a cooking show if he wanted. By mid-morning, Leon's search led him to several properties across the city. One large building caught his eye, a spacious location that could accommodate multiple studios. There was a problem. Parking was limited. Still, Leon was intrigued enough to schedule a viewing. The appointment revealed the truth. The first building didn't pass inspection. Pipes needed work, the electrical system was outdated, and the structure required more investment than he had anticipated. Leon felt the pang of disappointment, but he wasn't discouraged. The owner, impressed by Leon's professionalism, offered him a chance to view another property 30 minutes away in a nearby town. Leon drove to the second property and immediately felt at home. The building was expansive, with room for everything he envisioned. The layout included a podcast studio, soundproofed with space for interviews and guest seating, a talk show set, complete with lighting rigs and seating for a live audience, a radio station, equipped for live broadcasts and pre-recorded shows, an editing suite, allowing Leon and his team to produce high-quality content efficiently, a kitchen studio, perfect for cooking shows or lifestyle content. Without hesitation, Leon put down a deposit. The key in his hand felt heavier than he expected. It was more than just a key to a building. It was a key to his future. He dove into action immediately. Over the next few weeks, Leon transformed the empty building into a functional media hub. Desks were arranged, cables run, and equipment tested. He didn't have a large team yet, but he recruited classmates and co-workers who shared his vision. Marcus helped with business strategy, Samantha with marketing, and Tyrone with technical setup. Leon also reached out to local talent, friends and acquaintances who had been honing skills in radio, podcasts, or culinary arts. Slowly, the building came alive. Each room took on its own identity. The podcast studio attracted guests from across the city, drawn to Leon's growing reputation for quality and creativity. The talk show set became a hub for discussions about community, entertainment, and culture. The radio station launched with a charismatic host who quickly gained a loyal following. The kitchen studio became a rotating showcase of cooking, lifestyle, and DIY projects. By the end of the summer, Leon's building buzzed with energy. For separate channels operated simultaneously, each growing rapidly. Videos went viral. Podcasts exceeded 1 million subscribers in a matter of months. The talk show became a local sensation, and the radio station gained recognition for its professionalism and fresh content. Through it all, Leon stayed in the background. He didn't crave attention or celebrity. He preferred to handle the business, logistics, and strategy, while his team brought the content to life. Staying behind the scenes allowed him to maintain control and focus on growth. One evening, Leon walked through the building, observing the energy in each room. The podcast studio had a guest laughing mid-interview. The talk show set buzzed with cameras and crew. The radio station played a hit song, while the host signed off a live segment. In the kitchen studio, a chef demonstrated a new recipe to an engaged audience. Leon paused in the hallway, letting the moment sink in. Months of planning, sleepless nights, and calculated risks had led to this. The black sheep of the family, the boy who had been reckless and impulsive, was finally channeling his energy into something meaningful. He thought about Aunt Kathy's words and the lessons from Coach Harris. Every mistake, every moment of impulsivity, every failure, it had all taught him discipline, patience, and resilience. And now, the fire that had once threatened to burn everything down was finally lighting the way forward. Chapter 8: Momentum and Mastery. By the time fall arrived, Leon's building had transformed into a thriving hub of creativity, energy, and innovation. The summer had been intense, long hours, constant problem-solving, and the challenge of coordinating multiple teams, but every moment was paying off. Each room in the building now had its rhythm. The podcast studio hosted interviews with authors, local personalities, and emerging influencers. Within just 2 months, Leon's podcast amassed over 1 million subscribers. Listeners were drawn not only to the content, but also to the professional quality and unique voice that Leon nurtured behind the scenes. The talk show had become a cultural hotspot. Discussions on current events, community issues, and human interest stories drew viewers from across the region. Guests raved about the professionalism and warmth of the show, and word of mouth ensured that viewership grew rapidly. The radio station flourished under the leadership of a charismatic host Leon had handpicked. Morning shows, music hours, and interactive segments created a loyal listener base. Local advertisers began inquiring about sponsorships, signaling real financial growth. The kitchen studio became a rotating showcase for different culinary personalities. Each episode blended instruction, entertainment, and personality, keeping audiences engaged and loyal. Leon didn't crave recognition. Unlike many entrepreneurs who wanted the spotlight, he preferred to operate quietly, ensuring that his vision and strategy remained intact. He stayed behind the scenes, making critical business decisions, managing budgets, and coordinating schedules. The building's energy was palpable. Crew members hustled between studios, students filmed and edited content, and the hum of activity created an inspiring atmosphere. Leon walked through the halls often, observing the work, offering feedback, and celebrating small victories. He was no longer just a leader by title. He was a leader by example. Despite the success, challenges remained. Each day required careful coordination, studio schedules, guest bookings, technical issues, and marketing. Leon learned to delegate efficiently, trusting his team to handle responsibilities while he focused on strategy. Late nights were common. Leon often stayed until the building was quiet, reviewing analytics, brainstorming new content, and planning expansion. But every effort reinforced his growing confidence. He could run a business, manage a team, and scale operations, all without losing his composure. His classmates and co-workers were astonished by the results. They had witnessed Leon's early struggles, the frustrations at work, and the slow start of his business. And now, the transformation was undeniable. Leon occasionally reflected on the journey. He remembered Aunt Kathy's encouraging words, his coach's lessons about controlling passion, and the long nights spent juggling work, school, and business planning. Each challenge had been a stepping stone, each setback a lesson. One evening, Leon paused outside the building, gazing at the glowing windows that hinted at the activity inside. He could hear laughter from the podcast studio, the radio host signing off another live show, and the sizzle of a cooking demonstration. This was his creation. His energy, discipline, and vision had turned an empty building into a thriving media empire. And yet, he remained low profile, letting the success speak for itself, while staying true to his preference for privacy and focus. He thought about the future, imagining what could come next. Expansion, additional channels, more collaborations, but all with the same principle: quality, control, and integrity. For Leon, the black sheep of the family, the journey had only just begun, but he had found his stride, turning his passion into purpose, his energy into productivity, and his dreams into reality. Chapter 9: Recognition and Reality. The holiday season had arrived, and with it came the familiar anticipation of family gatherings. Leon hadn't been especially eager to attend. Past reunions had been filled with judgment, skepticism, and subtle reminders of his black sheep status. But this year, things were different. Leon pulled up to his family's usual gathering in a brand new, top-of-the-line Mercedes. The sleek car gleamed under the winter sunlight, a stark contrast to the modest vehicles his cousins and siblings drove. As he stepped out, the air of confidence and calm composure was noticeable. His family froze, exchanging glances filled with suspicion and disbelief. "Did he steal it?" muttered one cousin. "Or maybe he borrowed it just to show off," another whispered. Leon ignored their assumptions. He walked past the murmurs, greeting everyone warmly, but without pretense. Gone was the restless, reckless boy who had once caused so much concern. In his place stood a man who exuded quiet confidence, someone who had quietly built his own empire. Inside the house, the familiar chaos of the holidays filled the air. Children ran around, laughter echoed, and the scent of home-cooked food mingled with the aroma of freshly baked desserts. Leon moved through the crowd, exchanging greetings and small talk. Aunt Kathy noticed immediately. "Leon," she exclaimed, pulling him into a hug. "There's something different about you. You walk with purpose now." "I'm just living, Aunt Kathy," Leon replied with a smile. "Focused, that's all." As the day went on, Leon kept to himself, quietly observing the scene. Then, in the kitchen, the family gathered around, watching one of the cooking shows on the internet. Leon's ears perked up as he overheard them comment on the host's style, the recipes, and the professional production value. "This is really good," one aunt remarked. "Who produces this?" A young cousin leaned closer, pointing to the screen. "Check the credits," she said. The room went silent for a moment. Then realization spread like wildfire. Leon's name flashed across the credits: producer, founder, and owner of the show. One by one, the family members recognized the connection. He's behind all of this," whispered a cousin. "No way," another said, eyes wide. Leon stayed in the background, watching quietly as the pride and astonishment washed over his family. His mother stepped forward, her voice filled with admiration. "Everyone, let me give you the full story," she began. "Leon has been running these businesses for months now. Podcasts, a talk show, a radio station, and even a cooking show. He built everything from the ground up, investing time, effort, and yes, money wisely. He's doing more than just succeeding. He's thriving." The family's reactions were mixed. Some were genuinely proud, others still skeptical, and a few couldn't hide their envy. But the overwhelming sentiment was admiration. The black sheep had not only returned, he had won. Leon's success didn't change his demeanor. He didn't gloat or flaunt his achievements. He answered questions politely, offered advice sparingly, and let the work speak for itself. He knew that his family had often treated him with doubt, and he realized that respect now came only from proof, not words. As the evening progressed, requests began to trickle in, favors, advice, and even help from his various ventures. Leon listened patiently, smiling to himself. Everyone should keep the same energy they had before, he thought. "I've earned my success, but I won't bend to expectations just because of it." By the end of the night, Leon had reinforced the most important lesson he had learned. Success was not about proving others wrong, showing off, or seeking approval. It was about persistence, focus, and creating opportunities where none existed. The black sheep had not only returned, he had triumphed quietly, decisively, and on his own terms. Chapter 10: The Black Sheep Wins. Leon's empire continued to flourish, and he maintained focus, discipline, and discretion. At another family gathering, the family fully recognized his achievements, but Lee held firm boundaries. He reflected on his journey, from reckless youth to disciplined entrepreneur. Every fight, heartbreak, and sleepless night had taught him resilience, patience, and control. The black sheep had won, not by proving others wrong, but by proving himself right. He had taken control of his destiny, turning energy, passion, and determination into purpose and success. For the first time, Leon felt true fulfillment, knowing that he had forged a life that was entirely his own. The black sheep had risen, And this time, he was here to stay. The end. The Black Sheep. By Duane Penmanship.